we have 2 more to go before the product announcements and the Hackfest judging in the exhibit hall. First, we're going to have John with how I converted commercial software to run under ProDOS. Thanks, John.
Thank you, everyone, for showing up. Okay? I really appreciate this. This got me really excited. I wanted to show other people, but I didn't know what other forum to do other than something like this. Okay? I also want to thank Dagan, but he's not here, but he showed me an interesting pseudo opt-in what was it? Merlin. That STR, and when you use that, it'll output the number of characters, and then I never even knew that worked that way. So my code doesn't have that. It just has define byte and the number of bytes in the string, and then the quote, and then the string itself. I did happen to get it right about using single quotes for positive ASCII. I use double quotes for negative ASCII. This is in Merlin assembly code. Okay. Now, I'll fire up this 2E. Oh, it's already up. And from here, I'm going to launch on into Merlin. Oh, I think it's on the other drive.
Type E-Light.
There it is.
That's roll 8, I'm assuming.
Okay. And I want to set my prefix here. Before I do that, I'll make sure we're shot. Yeah, I got the wrong directory. So I'm going to type in from here. I hit D for the drive command, and I'm going to type the word prefix. And then it was on the assembly sources. Oh, wait a minute. Prefix, assembly source. Assemble, wait, I could be wrong. Wait a minute, better catalog this and find out how to spell it. I'm stuck. I'm going to have to switch over to the other drive. Oh, the main directory is what I have wrong. Okay. The main directory is PL, Platinum 2EB hard drive. That's what I had wrong. I was putting in the subdirectory. Okay. So I hit that by prefix. PL2EB HT ASSEMBLE SOURCE. Oh, it did. Good. Now let's see what's in here. Okay, this one's the one I'm going to pull up here, right here. It's for the Coveted Mirror system. Okay? I'm going to show you something in here.
And what version of Merlin are you using?
I don't think it really matters, but I think it's 2.54. It's Merlin Pro.
Okay.
I think I stuck with commands that work under all of the Merlin syntaxes. Oh, it's misspelled.
As far as I know.
Now notice I got this program, it assembles at B700. Okay, that's where I want the labels to reference. Okay, but of course we know that this part here, we certainly want it to load into 2000. Now the way you go about, okay, get out of the way here. The way you go about on a, once you find the directory you want, you have to create the system folder, and this is done with the word create, and then you, whatever the file name you wish to choose, comma, then T, that means type, and it'd be SYS, or you could use $FF. And when you do this, you will end up creating a system file. Anything that's launchable from the quit code section, the program selector, anything like that. For reasons unknown to me, Apple requires, well, they always tell you that the first instruction is supposed to be a clear decimal. Okay, so I put it in. And the next one, by all means, I want to enable interrupts so people can get into the program wherever they really want to. You load FF 255 into the stack and put that value into the stack pointer. Okay, so your stack pointer set at the top of the page, and then after that, we put I and X will make this value a 1, and then we store that in for our indexes. Okay, and then we take 21 and 88 and store them in the others, the high order index bytes. Okay. Oh, I better not go over too much of this because I'll end up taking a lot of time. So I might skip over some of this. But what this is this is called a front loader. And it takes whatever you load in 2000 and it moves it to the destination of where you want it to be. In this case, it's going to be B800. So we load it from 2000 and then we store it in B800. And we keep on going up and until we get what we want, and we keep on looping back. And then to cut a short story, cut it short to the chase, eventually we quit looping and then we go on to the other parts of the program. This part here, we zero off particular 0 pages that the program uses. The program image uses these 4. Okay. This is supposed to be a set to FF, but the other 3 are required to be zeros. And then there's others that are required within the image to be a particular value. Okay, and actually these here are not overwritten by what I load in. It's in a section that I don't even use. But the image checks for the values anyway. So I write them anyway directly in, and then I jump to the B900 because it relocated. Okay. Now. Okay. Which one did I load in? I forgot. I have 2 programs here. That's how the front loader works. It moves it over to the more useful. Notice I define certain things like the quit parameters is a JSR to BF00, a 65, and then I define a particular address. And then this information is moved to where it's needed in the destination. We have particular things like stack references, and that this is out of the program image. Okay, the Coveted Mirror uses these values here, like 1AFA, to keep track of what track you're on. Okay, and so forth. I don't want to take up a lot of time because this will go into a lot of hours. Okay, but anyway. We have conflicts between my program, maybe what ProDOS uses, and the program image itself. This is used by, 0 page, 4E and 4F is used to generate random numbers. I don't know if anyone knows that, but kind of handy to know. And this particular program image, if this value gets changed off of what it is, the characters that you see won't show up at the locations they're supposed to show up at. And it gets quite aggravating. But if you put them back to the normal values, in other words, you take your 0 page references, store them in a temporary spot, do the routine you have to do, and then restore the values before you re-enter the program image, and then this solves that problem. Okay. Okay. I'm going to use the other. Oops, I hit E. I'm going to use the other program I have here because I'm more familiar with it. I stored this one on the disk as a binary file, but it really is a system file and how it really functions. I put it in at AE00. This particular program here is to use the back side of the disk. See, the other one, the front side of the disk is in DOS 3.3, okay? And so I've got, oh, wait a minute, is it? Yeah, the front side's in DOS 3.3, the back side of the disk uses direct track sector access. In other words, the program image aligns it over a particular place on that disk, loads in the information, and returns back. And the other side, the other program we were looking at, handled that one. This one handles the DOS 3.3 access. Yes, Conrad. Oh, but anyway, the program's large enough that I can't just keep DOS 3.3 in there. I kind of have to toss it out. What I have, this is an interpreter in replacement of a basic system. Okay? And one of the first things we do is we jump to the start of the game. And the game start. Let's find a good place to start working on this. Sector 1, F. Well, that's in one of the examples.
Can you focus the,
focus the,
yeah, it's hard to see the code.
Oh,
It's like patterns of light.
oh, I'm sorry about that. I wondered, does,
It's great calling those.
but I don't know how to, does anyone know how to set that on Merlin? No, I don't. I'm sorry. If I could figure it out, I would. Might have time to take my word. Well, it does support 40 column. I just don't know what the command is because I don't ever use it. I use 80 columns, so sorry about that. Anyway, let's start. This is a file table list of all the files that are on the DOS 3.3 side. Okay? And what I do, there's a whole bunch. If you were to catalog, you'd see all these in the DOS 3.3 catalog. Okay? Now what I'd end up doing is I state how long the file is, the number of characters. The terminating character, by the way, is a / because I find that easier to use on ProDOS. So let's take something like something like fly, which is one of the fly animation as an example. Notice it says that it's 8, And so you got FLY period ANM and the /. And that's the structure of this. First, the number of bytes, and then what the data is. Single quotes so the most significant bit is clear. And after this, this is what's very important here. These,
Sorry, I just did a search. It looks like the command VID /0 maybe switches to 40 column.
wait a minute.
0 PR0. It's basically the same as
PR.
No. VID /0.
VID, I thought I typed VID, but then I thought I typed something else. Thank you, VID.
I don't know if it'll work.
Very good. And I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I'm sure the whole class appreciates it.
Yay.
Thank you very much. I still don't know if I can cut this short enough to fit in my time slot, though, but at least we've got to find out what we're good at. 8 characters long. FLY, that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay? Then let's see which order these are. This is the loading address. It'll load in 8C96, and its length is 909A6. Every one of these is set up that way. It's off the file list. Now, and if you notice, this thing has a lot of programs in it. Quite a few. And I got mighty lucky because none of them were over 15 characters. So I also have a problem in here. That this game is not written very well. It happens to, I know, I admit it. It happens to be that when we exceed the page boundary and you try to index off of it, it doesn't work right. I don't know, it somehow gets lost. It seems to work if all of this information, like starting at 8 to this end, from here to here, is on the same page. But by golly, when it crosses, let's say a page split occurs in the middle of any of this, it just doesn't work. And that's because the code's not written quite correct. But it does work because what I've done was, near the top of the page, I put in a big buffer here. Okay? Big gap buffer there. Wasted about 10 bytes or so, but it did cross the next boundary to continue the file list. Boy, is that ever a huge file list. Okay. Now, there's one other thing. Let's start. I'm going to get down here so I won't block anyone. Let's see. Let's start at 310. This is one of the games on the front side of the disc called, it's fishing. Okay? One of the things you do is you come across the enchanted lake and you got to do some fishing. This is what I do to load it in. Reference this. I pull up the data it's defined earlier on the code. I'll even show you what it is. I got written down. Let's see. It's FISTBL, which is in line 11. Make sure that, list 11 to 15. Okay, yeah, it's more than one. What I'm doing, did I scroll off? Oh, I didn't see. Well, okay, only the LDY with 2 scroll off. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm loading in the 4C, the low order byte, and then the high order byte. Notice the greater than sign preceding means the bullet. And this is figured out by the assembler as well. So what I'm doing is I'm putting a jump to whatever fish value equates to, okay? And I'm storing that into the program image. And then I'm going until I normalize it. This sets a flag here. I'm using, I called it temp3. I don't know, I could have called it about anything. But the only value in this is either a 1 or a 0, and I'm only using the least significant bit. And I'm using it only as a flag, not even as a value. And then after I get done with that, I jump to within the program image 4025. Oh, wait a minute. You might say, did I load anything in? I did skip some stuff. I'm sorry. But I was just showing you how some of that works. Fish fowl. Let's see, where was that kept at? I think I had that. 316. Oh, it's off the fish fowl. Oh, that's that program there. Look. 316. 325. Never mind, I don't want to waste a whole bunch of time here. Time's short. Okay, now, I've got the file arrangement. I've got that, that. Oh, none of this does any good, getting all this pulled off the file list, getting it stored temporarily in memory, and all this stuff. None of this does any good unless you actually call ProDOS to actually load the program in. Okay? And that's where, but there's other things. Okay? We got a routine to handle the open file, and one for determining new files, and stuff like that. So you got the setups and that. Let's see. Those. Your open file parameter list. Okay? And 3 bytes in there, point to the prefix, and then this here, this 00 and then B4. Now ProDOS requires a 1024-byte buffer there for temporarily storing files for, you know, like when you open up a file and then you read or write either one, it requires that buffer. And I've declared the location to be at B400, 456 to B7FF. That's right below one of these system programs. Yeah, okay. And next, notice how I got this structured here on get file. Oh, this is a delight. What I've got here, I load in the prefix, and then I add it to this. These are not two the same. The prefix, one is the length of the file. That's the first one. This is the length of the whole volume. When you start all the way back to the root directory, you got to add that on there, add the two together, and then we've added that to the root directory. And then after that, I send that value over to the X register, and I pull off the stuff and store it in the file. I take from the file list and store it right onto the prefix. Okay, and then I end the routine. It appends the file onto the root directory. You know, all the way from hard drive A, game, and all forth, and then puts to the far right of that the name of the file that I'm going to load in. Okay? And now, that takes care of get file. Notice, when we get done, you have to close the file. It works this way. You issue an open command, then you'll read or you'll write the file, okay, and then after you're done, you want to close it. And then after you get done closing it, you have to subtract off of the path name what you just added on. Remember, get file, it added an extra file onto the path. And when you get done, you have to subtract that off, or else it's not going to work right. Oh boy, those are all timing delays in there. When you boot this game up, okay, I don't know if you ever heard it recalibrate. I don't know how many people, you know what that's at that. Okay. This game does it when you flip the disc over and you go into another game. It does what's called a warm boot. Okay? And it stores in these memory spots. Remember, I wrote store 0 into 6, 7, and a few others, but we load in the program, and then if it contains a particular value, it tells us which ones we're doing. For instance, an FE will be the jousting program. An FD is the fishing program. So upon a warm boot, a re-entry into the DOS 3. In other words, let's say we're done wandering the ground area and picking up the items and tossing them, and then you go to the fishing area, right? As soon as you do that, it knows not to reload the game from the very beginning because it'll load in this FD. Same with jousting, it'll load it in the FE instead. And from there, we branch to handler. Do a patch to the program image, and so it doesn't go off, you know, and to run the wrong program or something like that. It knows what program to write, stores that in the right place, and then it does a warm start to 4,000. Okay. There's several of them. This means new file. Okay, very important. This is the one that's done when we wish to append another file on there. The first thing we do, use the get file routine to add the prefix onto the path, right? After that, JSR to BF00 with a C8 column, which is an open. It's an open file. We open the file. ProDOS from the open file reference +5 stores a handle. I think some people know what I'm talking about. We take this handle, we store it to where this thing points here for the read, +1. Okay? We don't care what the actual value is. ProDOS comes up with that. But we store it right there. We issue a read. It's a JSR DF00. And the CA values the read. And we're reading the file that we open. Okay? And afterward, I always try to close it immediately. There's the MLI call for close is a CC. And if the parameters are it's a 1 and then a 0. There's two parameters. The 1 tells you how many parameters there are. If that value is a 0, it means to close all of the files, no matter what's open. I don't have a reason to open more than one of them. After I get done, this is where I subtract the file off of the prefix, so the prefix is back to the right number. Got it? But anyway, by the way, I could go on a long time on this, but I really don't want to bore everyone. So I'm going to show you what these look like. Let's see, that was the Coveted Mirror. It's the only one I took. Oh boy, I got apple cider spider. You're going to love that one. Let's see, it was in here. And this is what happens when it fires up. That is beautiful. I love this. This is the DOS 3.3 side. And I love the graphics. Not just because they're nice, and they're also animated. And I believe this program was written to demonstrate Penguin Software's program called Graphics Magician. Okay? But it is gorgeous. You can walk through here and it works flawlessly every time. Now, I want to show you something. When you quit, return back to here. Right? Out of track. I don't have a whole lot of time. I was wanting to show it on the 2 Plus. You guys don't mind if I take a few minutes to show you on that?
Sure.
Yeah.
I just can ask, all these conversions you've taken the time to do, since you are the definitive expert, are you sharing these available anywhere? So
If anyone wants them, I'll let you have them.
I would love to get a copy of all of those. You should put up a site or share them someplace, because I'm sure you'll continue to do more.
Tony's
Yeah.
got his whips or the.
Good ads on.
Tony has a computer online for pictures and stuff, if you wanna make a
Yeah.
folder with your name on it, put some of these on there.
Look, guys, I only signed up for a half-hour section. I'd really like to do other things. Is there really any other questions, though? And I'm sorry about not getting to the 2 Plus. Oh, you have one?
Yeah, now if you take a DOS 3.3 game and do this conversion so it'll run on ProDOS, would that mean that you could put this in the ProDOS hard drive?
Yeah, this will work on a hard drive, yeah. There's some problems we got, though, and it's not fair for me to have not mentioned it before. All these programs you see here were designed for a 48K system, okay? These were written before 1984. So what we got is the ProDOS is going to reside in the language card, right? And the main program is going to reside in the memory. Within that memory, in that 48K space, you got routines for direct 5 1/4 drive access. Toss that out, and put your own programs in that space. That's a good spot to claim. And you could keep the file table there and stuff like that. And that's, by the way, I'm going to tell you something. This isn't going to do a lot of good unless you get hold of the source code. I want to get hold of the source code. I didn't keep the source codes with them, so maybe I could try to get. At least I can give you this source code to this one. And like I said, if it weren't for time constraints, I'd have fired up on a 2 Plus. All these programs work on a 2 Plus as well. All of them do. The problem you got though, this particular program was on one disk, it's 2 sides. And it's kind of written in a way to where it expects the whole directory to be together. I don't like the idea of splitting up the directory. So I've only put the necessary stuff and booted it up. Can I take a few minutes I've exceeded my limit?
Stephen, I know you need time to set up for yours. Are you going to use your full hour?
Well, mine doesn't start until 2:15.
2:15.
Well, can we take the break time, or is everyone going to?
Well, actually, we could start Steve's at 2:15 instead of 2, and then you could go for another 10 minutes if that sounds good.
Okay, I'm sorry about this, guys. I really thought I'd get this in that short a time. I really believed it would go that quick. I'm having so much fun here, I did not know it would go this quickly. I thought I'd get this done here in 15 minutes and wonder what I was going to do for the rest of the 15 minutes. Okay. This disc here, one of Nibbles. I'm using it because it's a ProDOS. Oh no! I can't get it in. It worked before.
Did you try it out here or in the room or what?
I think people come out here and it's slightly different setup. And they can't all come out here and test it as it's being.
Now I get a reconfiguration error. Okay, well, just take my word, it works on it.